Yo, what's going on guys? Jared here, back again with another video, and this is going to be an Azamina showcase video. Azamina has so many different ways to play that I don't really find it fair to show just one type of deck or deck profile. I think it's actually just better to show some of the combos that you can do with them. Some bad, some better than others. Obviously, the most popular one being Snake Eye, so that's going to be the last one. It's very simple, it's nothing crazy, but it's just, it's obviously so powerful and so strong because of where you begin these combos. So, the startup of them is so strong, and it's so overpowered, and it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, if you guys have any other Azamina strategies that you like, feel free to leave them down below. Any other combos, feel free to leave them down below. I'm really curious what you guys are cooking up with. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of these combos. So this first combo is actually going to be probably the worst of the combos, but I'm going to use this one as a starting combo just to show you what the Azamina cards get to by themselves. Starting with Sinful Soil's Deception here. But you could also be starting with Wanted or Black Witch. They both also get to this exact same point, which is crazy because that's 9 copies of a card to get to this absurd point in the game. Again, not using your normal summon. It's ridiculous. So before we actually jump in, again, if you enjoy, please subscribe. And I want to go over the Azamina cards so we all understand them very quickly as I go through them. Luckily, there's not a lot of them. So, Deception, continuous spell. Tribute a monster from your hand or field. Add an Azamina from your deck to your hand. If a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard and you control an Azamina monster, you can make your opponent lose 1,500 life points, and if you do, you gain 1,500 life points. And during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn from this borrowed trap zone, you can set it. And you can only use each effect once per turn. Now, honestly, the second and third effect are like, don't come up too much. The resetting itself does, but the main part is the first effect, right? So we are going to use that first effect to tribute off any monster in our hand, just using an effect failure as an example. And then we're going to search Sacred Azamina. Next, we're going to use Sacred Azamina, which, normal spell card, reveal 1 Azamina fusion monster from your extra deck and send 1 Sinful Spoils card from your hand or field to the graveyard for every 4 levels of the reveal monster has. If those cards are set, reveal them, then special summon it. This is treated as a fusion summon. If this card is set from if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Azamina monster you control, or in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So the first effect is not once per turn. The second effect to add itself back is once per turn. So you get to get 2 uses out of this card. Very important. So we're going to send Deception to be able to summon out. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but on summon, this one searches a what's it called? Any Azamina or Sinful Spoils card from your deck to your hand, which is insane. That is the main part of this. That's what it does. So we are going to use its effect to add. Excuse me as I do a quick misclick on the coin flip. But we are going to add Wanted of Sinful Spoils, because again, this adds any Sinful Spoils cards. Next, we're going to use Wanted to be able to add our Black Witch. Then we are able to use Wanted in Graveyard's effect to put back the Deception and draw a card. Now, you don't have to do that. I'm just doing that for this example, but you have the rest of your hand to do that. So you could consider this a net draw. You can sculpt your hand a little bit. If you have something in your hand you want in your graveyard, you could do that. So just keep that in mind. Next, we're going to summon out the Black Witch, sending the card we drew to set our OSS. Next, we can go into a Link 2, and of course, we just keep misclicking onto coin to go into our Moon. Now, we can use our Sacred Azamina in Graveyard to put back the fusion and then add itself back. Then we can use it to send the OSS to summon out our Silvera. So, our Silvera's effect on the field is pretty much, very quickly, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you contribute this card, negate that effect. So, this is installation, right? We cannot get nibbed. This is installation from every hand trap in the game just because it negates it, which is crazy. And this also gave us access to Moon. But not only that, this lets us use OSS to be able to add any fire from our deck to our hand, level 1 fire. We did not use our normal summon. So again, I'm just like adding level 1 fires here just to show you some examples. But of course, Snake Eye Ash being the other one. But just as a thing that you to know, this is the point that you get to. So every one of these combos is going to start from this point with Moon on the field, Silvera, and 1 level 1 fire. That is every combo, and there's 9 ways to do it in this deck, in all these decks. It's so crazy that you can just do this. So what can we do from this point with all these combos? So this is going to be the first one, and this is going to be the worst one, and that's going to be an Infernoble line. So we are going to use Requiem to get Lacrima, send Engraver, normal summon our level 1 tuner being Jet Synchron, go into a level 5 being Angelica effect to add Museum to search Durandal, activate the Rondel, chain Angelica to be able to summon our Roland, and then send our Turpin from deck to graveyard. Next, we can use Engraver to put back Moon, use Requiem in the graveyard to equip to Engraver. This allows us to bring back Turpin because there is an equip card on the field. Then you can synchro summon into our Charles. Next, we can use Roland's effect to equip to the Charles to then link into our Emperor Charles the Great. Then we can equip that to Charles itself. Then you can use Museum's effect to push it up. And the cool thing is, because you are able to, you push this up and you are using the effect of Infernoble Knight Charles, or you are pushing up Charles, you are actually not locked into the Warriors, just because, again, you're using it with Charles. You're not doing this on any card effect. So I think that's really, really good that you are just getting it for free. There's no restrictions on this now. So you're able to just go right into a sequence. Then you're able to use a sequence effect to shuffle back the Engraver, Requiem, and the Lacrima to go into Desiree. And you're able to use Jet Synchron, pitch an additional card in your hand, link those into Princess, and then use Princess effect to bring back the Charles. And then you're able to go into an Ambo Whale, and then putting a sequence on the Desiree. And that's it, right? And then you're able to use the Charles in the end phase to be able to just put some extra equips. So on the end of this, you are able to have a pop with the Charles, a Spell or Trap negate with the Charles, a special summon pop from the Promethean Princess, a negate through the Desiree, and a another negate through the Silvera. This is crazy. Like, this is just so many things. Again, and this is like the worst Azamina line that I could probably make. The next up is the next worst one in my opinion, being the Infernoid line. So again, we have Moon, Silvera, and now we're going to search Decatron. So in this line, what we can do is go right into Requiem, use Requiem's effect to summon out Lacrima. Lacrima effect is going to send Fiendsmith Paradise, and this is a different one. We are not sending Engraver. I know it's very weird, trust me though. So what this does in the graveyard, a lot of people don't know, is if your opponent special summons a monster while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card, send one Fiendsmith monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. Something to keep in mind, we will get back to that later. We're going to use this as an interruption later on our opponent's turn. Next, we can normal summon Decatron, send our Anoku to then go into a link 2 of the sequence. Next, we can use the sequence to fuse the Moon and the Requiem to go into Aerial Leader, 2 monsters with the same attribute, 2 fiends. From here, we can use the effect to send any fiend, so we are going to dump our Engraver now. Now we are able to go into a link 3, going into Promethean Princess because it is generic. Use the effect to bring back the Decatron effect to send another level 8 or higher, you need a level 6 or higher fiend monsters with the same attribute. So it doesn't have to be Anoku or Deviati. I actually encourage not for it to be Anoku or Deviati. I'd much rather have you use something like Sights and Misses, or the level 8 one. I'm blanking on the name. Atundle, I believe his name is. Yeah, and then so you can use these on your opponent's turn in the future, and I'll show you what I mean. But for this example, I'm just using these. So we're going to immediately link those off into Infernoid Flood. A lot of people, seem to forget about this card. Infernoid Flood is probably the best link monster to make off of Promethean Princess if you have the option available. This card is crazy again, just really quickly, when your opponent special summons a monster, you contribute a monster, negate the summon, and if you do, banish that monster. Then, if a card is banished from your graveyard, except from during the damage step, you can banish 1 card on the field. If this card is link summon, it is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Infernoid monster from your deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So, all things considered, this is going to be able to tribute off a monster and negate a summon. Also, if your opponent's special summons, you're able to use the Fiendsmith in Paradise to be able to send Desiree from your extra deck to the graveyard. Then Desiree and Flood will both trigger to be able to both send a monster to the graveyard, or send a card to the graveyard, and banish a card on the field on your opponent's turn. Yeah. So now we're able to use Engraver to bring itself back, banish our 2 Fire Fiends for Aerial Eater, and then overlay those 2 into a Caesar. Now, this can be Caesar. You can also have this be something like Evolves Our Lars, so that you are able to get a better negate, because I feel like you have a lot of interruption already, and you already have a summon negate, so maybe you don't need what's it called? You don't need Caesar. Maybe something like Lars will be better here, but this is just a quick example that I just wanted to show. And again, you have Promethean Princess in the graveyard, you have Paradise in graveyard, so you have multiple removals coming out of the graveyard. Flood here is still in the gate. Flood also can float. You have Wide Wave King Caesar as negates, and then again still Silvera. Yeah, just crazy stuff. The fact that you can do all of this. So yeah, that is it for the Infernoid one. And then lastly, I of course want to go into the Snake Eye line. So, very quickly, the Snake Eye line is going to be adding Snake Eye Ash, again, Moon, Silvera. So, we're going to be going into Requiem effect to go into Lacrima, and then use Lacrima's effect to send Engraver. Next up, we are able to summon the Engraver by putting back the Moon, equip a Requiem to Lacrima, make Necroquip Princess go into Caesar. If we were not nib-proof before, we are Omega nib-proof now. Next, we can use Snake Eye Ash to get Poplar effect to get the Field Spell, Divine Temple for Dia Star. Next, we are able to use Ash to send away itself and Dia Star, summon Oak effect, bring back Ash, then you can use Oak, send away Poplar, bring out Flameberg's Dragon, Poplar effect, put back Dia Star, then you can go into Link 2 and IP, Flameberg's effect to bring back 2 bodies from the graveyard. This is the normal Snake Eye line now. Go into Princess effect, bring back Flameberg's effect, put back IP, then you're able to go up into Hita, use Snake Idea, Bellstar, bring itself out, and then you're able to use those two to go into Rabbit, Rabbit effect to put out Azarun. So this is the normal end board of Snake Eye now. Again, this is just a million interruptions, multiple, again, this could also just be Lars again, multiple Spawn Trap negates, multiple Omni negates, multiple Summon negates, it's just ridiculous. Now the cool thing about this one is that you aren't making Desiree, you have more options in your graveyard. So what actually ends up happening here is in your graveyard you have Lacrima and Requiem. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people who are playing Fiendsmith just aren't doing. And it's really bothering me because I feel like it's really, really good and I cannot be the only one who thinks this. On your opponent's turn, you are able to use Lacrima's effect to put back Requiem to special summon, to shuffle, excuse me, I said this completely wrong. Use Lacrima's effect in graveyard, put herself back into the deck, and then you are able to special summon Requiem. On your opponent's turn still, use Requiem because he is a quick effect to tribute himself off to then re-summon the Lacrima. Then you can use Lacrima's effect, because it's still on summon, to be able to send the Fiendsmith in Paradise from your deck to the graveyard. And now you have a Fiendsmith in Paradise in your graveyard to be able to use as another form of interruption from the grave, along with Princess. So if you get Dark Lord, you still have 2 forms of interruption in the back row. Maybe you didn't push up IP yet, maybe you didn't use Azarun yet. You have so many forms of interruption here. Then again, you can use IP, go into SP, banish something out. Like there's so many ways to do stuff. Again, and because we didn't go Desiree in this line, you can use in Paradise to send. To be a send Desiree and then shuffle something back. And then on the crackback, you still have Engraver, put back Desiree, and then you can still go for a sequence line on top of that. So, yeah, that's everything. I mean, that is a crazy amount of interruptions for, like, practically being so safe on top of that. And again, the fact that 9 cards in your deck can just do that is probably not good. This seems ridiculous how strong this is. The only, like, saving grace I feel like against something like this is something like Molcharmy, which sucks because I don't want Toxic to be countered by Toxic. But, yeah, overall, I mean, that's just what Azamina is doing. It just feels disgusting. But, again, I really wanted to highlight that Fiendsmith line at the end there with Lacrima, because I feel like that is an effective Lacrima that not a lot of people are using, and I don't know why. I mean, if you're playing the Scarlet Witch, it's not Scarlet Witch, but the Black Witch package anyway, you might as well be playing an extra card that you can just send off of it so that, you know, it's still an interruption in your graveyard regardless, right? It's so easy to make live. It's so good. Even if you draw it, the on-field effect is kind of crazy if you can resolve it. But yeah, that's just my take on it. So let me know what you guys are doing with Azamina down below. I'm very curious if you have any other suggestions of what other Azamina stuff you want to see or what you're doing. Please leave them down below. I'd love to take a look at them. And yeah, if you guys enjoy, please subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And let's go and jump into the next video. Bye, guys.